I'm Roy Lee Lindsay with the North Carolina Pork Council, and I want everyone to remember bacon makes everything better.
Welcome back to the David Glenn Show. Our next guest is a great coach and a really fun guy who's enabled us to get to know him a little bit personally and professionally, which we appreciate. He's in his 5th year as the head coach of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, Coach Steve Forbes. He was the 2022 ACC Coach of the Year with the Deeks. He was the 2020 Southern Conference Player of the Year while at East Tennessee State University. Coach, great to see you. Welcome back. How are you?
Great to see you, David. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. Because you have been nice and transparent and allowed us to get to know you a little bit, I just want to share, I had a very recent family wedding where I got to see all my childhood cousins and mom, dad, etc. My own son, my only son, is getting married in early November. Your son, Christopher, recently got married, and I just have to ask, you've shared Janetta's story with us. A year ago, I think she had a hard time getting out of bed, and at the wedding, she both went down the aisle and danced with Christopher. So please share whatever comes to mind about all that.
I appreciate you bringing that up. You know, yeah, a year ago, over a year ago, she had a stroke. She had 3 strokes. So we set a goal, a long-term goal for her to be able to walk down the aisle at Christopher's wedding on 8/24/24. And so not only did she do that, but we had it up in Butler, Tennessee, up in the mountains. So she actually walked down into an amphitheater and back out, which was really a miracle. And then she danced with Christopher that night. And so she's come a long ways. And yeah, to think about where we're at a year ago right now, it's really amazing. She doesn't really use her wheelchair anymore. She does use a cane, and she can't drive yet, but we're working towards that.
For those who don't know, I believe Christopher, grown man, moved back in with mom and dad to help take care of mom during her recovery. I don't know if you're a crier, but that scene would have made me emotional.
Yeah. It was, you know, and Annie, his wife, Annie, she moved back in. She moved in with us too during right now. About this time right now, I figured out, Dave, I couldn't do this by myself, and so thanks to Christopher and Annie for getting us through that. And yeah, it was an emotional wedding, like I'm sure all weddings are. But you know, seeing my wife do that was really special.
Steve Forbes is joining us on the David Glenn Show. You have told us before that no fan, no media member is going to put any more pressure on you than you put on yourself internally. This is year 5 with the Deeks, and it looks like you have an NCAA Tournament type team potentially.
Yeah.
How are you viewing this internally in a sport where you know part of your job is to eventually make the big dance?
Well, yeah, we know that every year. That's been the goal ever since I've been the head coach. Now, the first year, you know, I know people say this is my 5th year, but really, truthfully, I'm being judged as my 4th year, you know, in the program, because the first year during COVID was basically a wash. And so, you know, two of the last 3 years we've been on the bubble. We've been really close, but we just haven't gotten through. So, yeah, this is definitely the year we need to break through, and we have by far good enough players to do that. And you know, it starts with our returners and then the guys that we've recruited. And so, yeah, that's the mindset when we start the season. But it can't be, you know, you got to work through the season. It can't just be about the end result. You have to go through the process. And that sounds very like Nick Saban, but he's very right about that.
Right. He was pretty good.
He was really good. And so, you know, not putting the cart ahead of the horse. You know, we've got to take care of business today and tomorrow, and then add them up. And I do believe we have the type of schedule and the type of players to get to the tournament.
There's a crazy stat, in part because of the transfer portal and early NBA draft entries, that the most recent Wake guy who was a first-team All-ACC player but returned to school was Justin Gray 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Obviously, Hunter Sallis was first-team All-ACC. He decided to stay. Help us understand, how does that happen? Because he did go through the draft process. There is name, image, likeness money that can at least help tilt the scales. What's the fairest way to describe what happened?
Well, having a great relationship, first of all, with Hunter and his family, and then having a great relationship with his agent. And, you know, his agent was outstanding through the entire process. I never spoke to Hunter about coming back because I wanted him to understand that I really wanted what was best for him. And what he wanted, like any player, he wanted to play in the NBA. And had he stayed in the draft, he would have got drafted. It just wasn't quite sure where.
Yeah.
And so there was a couple conversations between me and his dad, Travis, and his mom, Jessica, and then his agent, Kevin Bradbury. And so, just all of us being on the same page really helped. And then I went to Chicago to support him. I never once talked to him about it at the Combine. And then really truthfully, the first time I talked to him, he was in San Antonio the day he had to make a decision to either work out for the Spurs or come back. And he called me and said he was going to come back. That's the first time I had ever even spoke to him about coming back.
There are coaches that I know who will say that watching one of your players almost like blossom like a flower from what they weren't sure they could be to what they turn out to be is one of the greatest gifts, maybe like a parent. Hunter has described you, among other ways, as the man who helped him rediscover his love of the game of basketball.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty deep, man. From seeing the arriving, maybe not fully self-confident Gonzaga transfer to what you saw at the end of the year. Tell me how you watched that flower bloom.
Well, it's a tremendous transformation. And now Hunter was always a really good player. Yeah. And, Mark Few's an unbelievable coach. Forgot more basketball, knows more basketball I'll ever know. But when I first met with him in Spokane, I could just tell he didn't have any confidence. He could hardly look at me when I talked to him. So the only thing I said to him really that stuck with him, I think, in recruiting was my number one goal was for him to have fun playing again, enjoy playing the game that he loved. And so I was very conscientious of that when he came to Wake last summer, that he enjoy playing. I didn't have to yell at him, but I knew I was very cautious about him regaining his confidence and himself. And so, that's all on him, though. He did all the work. We just loved on him and coached him. And he had an incredible season. He was, first team All-ACC and newcomer of the year in the league. And so, but that's a credit to him. And, we tried to foster that the best we could, but, he took it and ran with it.
The portal giveth and the portal taketh away. Loved your player, Andrew Carr. He's now at Kentucky. I know Boopy Miller moved on to SMU, but Trayvon Spiller's all Sun Belt, first team from App State, and Omaha Baloo. Those two guys as forwards, I know, are part of why you say this will be your fastest possibly Wake Forest basketball team. They're incredible athletes. Tell me whatever you can about Trayvon, but with Omaha, I'm curious. He was a McDonald's All-American, but he didn't play much at Iowa State. So give us an expectation level or a description of those two guys.
Well, we're going to be this will be my most athletic team I've had at Wake. And those two guys had a tremendous amount of athleticism at the 4 spot. And, Trayvon was somebody I really didn't know until we played him in the NIT and beat him in App State. And I was really impressed with his motor and his athleticism and his length. And then when I got to know him as a person, after he went in the portal, I was just like a no-brainer. And he played for Pat Smith at Moberly, who I used to coach with the Barton County, so we had a connection there. Really, really excited. He's a tremendous player. Can just do a lot of things. And then Omaha Blue, he's from my home state of Iowa. Hey, look, Iowa State had an unbelievable team, and it's hard for freshmen to play. Yeah. And so he just didn't get on the court. And no negatives there. He's never said anything bad about Iowa State. I'm friends with T.J. Otzelberger, the head coach. He just wanted to change. And so now he got injured in May and had some surgery, came back at the end of the summer. He's about to hit full stride. That's the best. There's 2 really good battles going on for playing time, the starting position between him and Trayvon, and then between Parker Fredrickson and Devin Cosby and Juke Harris. So a lot of competition, a lot of size, a lot of athleticism, really exciting.
Last thing for you, I've seen coaches who need a true point guard and coaches who don't mind combo guards. To me, from the outside, it looks like Tyler Johnson from Louisville is your only what I would call a true point guard. Can Hunter play some point guard? Can Cam play some point guard? How do you view that?
I just don't believe in that. Okay. I think handlers are handlers and playmakers are playmakers no matter what your position is. Hunter played probably 400 or 500 possessions of point guard last year. People just never noticed. And so he can definitely do it. But But Ty's been outstanding. And I didn't mention him as, he's battling for a lot of playing time. He was starting point guard in our league last year.
Yeah.
At Louisville, he averaged 9 points a game, one of the top free throw shooters in the league, steals the ball. I've been really proud of him too. And so we'll play him together. We'll play Hunter in there some off the ball, but they can all play it. And we've got a team of multiple handlers.
He's Steve Forbes, back for year 5 with the Deeks. Coach, great to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I am a better person and a more effective business owner for having known and learned from Emily Parks over many years now. Emily's company, Organize for Success, helps multi-passionate business owners and executives bring harmony to all the layers of their lives, from work to side projects, from friends and family to hobbies, community, and beyond. With Emily's help, you too can make every minute matter. She helps you determine what earns your time and how to efficiently accomplish what matters. One of the many things I love about Emily is that she does not impose her will on her clients. She listens to them. That way she can better help them cultivate the lives they want to live. You can set up a complimentary call with Emily today by visiting organizeforsuccess.com. That's organize, F-O-R, success.com. Michael Berard, Managing Director Investments with the Founders Group at Stifel, works with a select group of high net worth individuals and institutions to develop and implement investment plans tailored to their specific objectives and risk tolerances. If you are interested in highly personalized, well-researched guidance and outstanding personal service, you can contact Michael at 984-364-2002. That's 984-364-2002. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Welcome back to the David Glenn Show here on the North Carolina Sports Network. Our next guest was a McDonald's All-American in high school in the state of Nebraska. He played 2 seasons at Gonzaga, and then last year he transferred to Wake Forest, and he had the best year of his college career. First team All-ACC, 18 points per game, 40% from three-point land. He even tested the NBA waters since the last time he joined our show. Hunter Sallis, welcome back to the David Glenn Show. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. Tell us how that NBA experiment went, because I'm thrilled to see you in Demon Deacons uniform again, but I know you have an NBA dream that's going to come true at some point. What did you learn in terms of the feedback you got, and why did you end up staying with the Deacons?
Well, to start, I mean, the whole experience was great. Just to be able to be at the combine with, high-level guys and high-level coaches was huge. And then to be able to, get down to some facilities and work out for some teams was also big. So, I was just grateful for the whole experience in general. But, I'm extremely happy to be back with my guys, for sure.
I remember you telling us that there was a time that you kind of fell out of love with the game of basketball. And Coach Forbes was one of the reasons you fell back in love. Tell us about that whole – he said – well, your confidence is fractured, but that doesn't mean your confidence is broken. And obviously, man, you were sensational. How did you get through that adversity? Because a lot of young people hit hard times, and maybe they want to give up instead of reacting the way you did.
I would just say that's a credit to my faith. I had all the faith in God, and he came through for me. And just going through the transfer portal, the biggest thing that I was really looking for was just, a coach that I had a great relationship with, and I automatically felt that connection with Coach Forbes. So,
how do you describe him behind the scenes to those of us who have gotten to know him a little bit out here in media land and fan land? What's he like when the cameras aren't on?
Definitely, like in practice, really intense. Definitely has a high expectation for all of us. But off the court, definitely, the coolest dude in the world, for sure.
Coach Forbes earlier today mentioned your agent. Did you guys, in the end, after the NBA testing the water stuff, how does it work? Do they tell you you might be a first-round pick, that you'll probably be a second-round pick, or do they not get into that kind of level of detail?
Well, for my situation, it was so hard because, through the deadline's pretty early, like throughout the whole process. So at that time, a lot of teams can't really tell you, like, where they think you'll go. That's more like closer to the draft, but I had a good idea where I felt like I would land, And you know, just with the information that they gave us, I decided to come back for sure.
Everybody is talking about the Deacs need to get back to the NCAA tournament. You have actually been to the NCAA tournament during your time at Gonzaga. What would your message to your teammates be about what is required to make sure that this is Coach's 5th year at Wake Forest, that he gets his first trip to the big dance?
Right. I think with this team, all we got to do is be, you know, one of the toughest teams in the country. And I definitely feel like we got the potential to do that. And that's definitely been, like, you know, a primary focus for us this year is just making sure we're tough because, I mean, those road games be hard. And that's, you know, that's the games you got to win for sure. So
the big guy at Carolina last year, Armando Bacot, told us that he could make more money staying with the Tar Heels for one more year than he could have made playing overseas as a professional basketball player. Did at least our new name, image, likeness world make it easier for you to stay one more year with the Demon Deacons? Because 4 years ago, that would not have even been a possibility.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like you said, just a different time. You know, a couple years ago, that wouldn't be possible. So definitely, NIL has definitely helped for sure.
You know, change is a part of this game. You guys lost some transfers. You signed a bunch of transfers. You have a real cool incoming freshman in Juke Harris. Which of the new guys jumped out to you the most over the summer and during the preseason?
Man, that's hard because we got a lot of good new guys. I'd definitely say someone who really surprised me was Davin Cosby. For sure. He can really shoot the lights out of it. And I say Trayvon Spillers as well. I mean, he's extremely athletic. Really all our new guys. I can't really just say two new guys because they're all extremely good for sure.
In terms of personal goals, R.J. Davis was the ACC Player of the Year last year. You were first-team All-ACC. Duke has a freshman named Cooper Flagg. I don't know if you've ever played against him, but he's coming with a lot of hype. Do you think about, dream about, or set as a goal something like ACC Player of the Year?
Oh, for sure, definitely. And I mean, that's the expectation I have for myself. And at the end of the day, I mean, the work will show. So, I mean, that's just my mentality going into this season for sure.
As we let you go, Hunter Sallis of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, what's your message to all the Wake fans who are thrilled to see you back in a Wake uniform one more time? But we also know this will be the last time.
Right. I just want to say I hope you guys are ready. Looking forward to an extremely exciting year for sure. So go Deacs, definitely.
Hunter Sallis of Wake Forest, thanks for joining us again on the David Glenn Show.
For having me.